What is going on, guys? My name is Brian Papazov, and I'm excited to invite you guys to my brand new YouTube channel. So before we jump in today, I honestly just want to go over why I'm starting a YouTube, why I'm putting content out there, and what the goal here is. So like I said, my name is Brian Papazov. I am a photographer on Instagram. I have built somewhat of a following there. That's still growing. My main goal with this YouTube channel is to just start bringing a lot of the knowledge that goes into a lot of the photos that I take on there here for you guys to see. I want to start doing content where it's like you guys are basically coming on a shoot with me, and then I want to do content where it's like, here's kind of some Lightroom tips, here's some Photoshop tips, and kind of just put my own spin on explaining and teaching the community that is here what I know and giving back where I can. So super excited. Just wanted to get that out the way. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. I'm excited to share this first little video with you guys. Without further ado, here it is. So for my first video, what I really wanted to focus on was just giving you guys like a glimpse into almost what I want this channel to be about, but also into my life. So what I've compiled here for you guys is a shoot that I did the other day. Just some B-roll, behind the scenes, kind of some fun shots. And then going out of that, I'm going to take a shot, kind of walk a little bit through Lightroom, and then spend the majority of the time in Photoshop going over basically retouching what I do in Photoshop, and then kind of how I export. This is going to be a very light walkthrough, but as I'm putting it out there, I'm hoping to get comments, kind of questions, stuff like that. Start this discussion about what you guys want to actually see. Like I said, this is kind of a general overview video, but hopefully it's going to be a good introduction. So no more waiting, no more talking. Let's get right into it. Alright, Olivia, where are we going?
This is not my trip.
It is.
No, it's not.
Max, where are we going?
Where are we going?
Yeah.
Around Richmond.
You're never just here. You're always a part of it. Don't worry.
Exploring.
She's a sad girl today.
I'm not a sad girl today.
Should we get on? Oh, we should go towards the sun some way. Yeah. Oh, you got it? Lit. Yes, sir. Cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it was fun to see kind of like a behind the scenes of my shoot, and you know, kind of just to see the fun and the thought process that goes into just walking around, snapping some shots, but finding some locations that work well, and just kind of getting to know me a little bit better. And let's jump right over into Lightroom, and then from there we'll go into Photoshop. Very quickly looking at these, I really like this one right here. So what I'm going to do here is kind of fix the crop a little bit and make it straight, and let's see. I'm going to bring the shadows up a little bit more. Okay, that's good. And then just come down here, put this grain to 30. Alright, and let's jump over into Photoshop. So what I start out with is a blank layer. You want to hit V, or sorry, I think that's my button command. So you want to go to the healing brush tool, or that's what I use. You could also use clone stamp or just the regular brush tool. But the thing about my skin is there's so much grain on it that it honestly doesn't matter the close-up as much, but I do still like to clean it up. So what I'm doing here is pressing Option, hitting an area next to the area that I want to kind of retouch here, and it's basically sampling from the clean area and placing that clean looking skin onto where kind of the blemishes are. Moving on, you can sort of tell what we did here. And all I do there is just merge that down into the background. Then I'm gonna go ahead and run this action to set up my dodge and burn layers. Dodging and burning took me quite a while to learn, to be honest. That's not it. Sorry, there we go. Alright, so but basically all this is, if you look at the properties here, is a curves layer lifted up a tiny bit to make the dodge, and pulled down a bit to make the burn, and the same thing here for the global. And the main difference is the local helps like make a smooth gradient between the skin, while the global helps shape it. It's almost like applying thicker makeup, if you will. So I'm gonna go ahead here and turn on this assist layer and mess with the contrast here to really let me see the difference between the dark and the light on her skin here, and kind of just where I want to work and even stuff out. So I'm going to go ahead here, and if this will work, oh, there we go, that's why. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. I have seen, well, I'll say it this way. Basically, the best technique for doing local dodge and burn is if you can get an area with the biggest brush possible, you want to do that. And Liquid Verve, Alex Miller is the one who I learned that from, but it's very true. You don't want to, if you can correct something by using a bigger brush, you don't want to be stuck using a small brush, because then it would take you forever. And you almost have to think of these brushes as like a pencil or something. The most inner part of it is kind of the narrowest, so everything that you're touching in the center of the brush will get affected the most, so just keep that in mind. You can also have it set so the harder you push, the more it spreads and stuff like that. So there's a lot of customization options when it comes to that. But as you can see, I'm just trying to kind of blend in these areas to make them a little bit more consistent. And honestly, like, Miranda's skin was already so good for yesterday that the local is not as important as the global for this photo, in my opinion. And you'll see why, because when we do the global on here, you'll see the transformation that actually comes. So let's see. So you can see what we've done here. Let me zoom out a little bit. Too far. There we go. So not much, but subtle. Just cleaning up the cheek area there and a little bit on the forehead. So, and I'll show you this in color as well. It just helps to smooth out those areas there. And honestly, if you saw this photo before, you would not even notice it because of the fact that most people don't even look at that. Anyway, though, I'm gonna put my brush over to 5% flow now for the global. And honestly, I like to do global in black and white as well, so I can see how much I've affected what areas. But let's see, I always start by painting on here in kind of like a triangle shape under the eyes, then get above the eyes right here as well, then right there as well, and then you want to put a good amount on the forehead here. And again, this is all used to shape the face, and it's all the best thing that you can do is to look up basically like a makeup contouring like chart basically, and just see where like the light is and then the dark is placed, and that is exactly where you want to aim to put you know, like the dodge and the burn, and then as you go you learn the little like tricks and places really where you should add it and where it looks good added in. So like right here on the nose, underneath the nose, around the lips, and honestly it's also preference of what you think like looks really nice. Also right here on the forehead, yeah, and you can see like with this contrast on, so it's not going to look as contrasty and as punchy, but because we turn the contrast up on this assist layer, it just looks like that. You also want to get the sides of the face to angle it in more, and then on the neck here to make that separation from the face look real. And then so this is actually where I would go ahead, step back, and you can see like basically how we've shaped the face here. And again, it's because of this contrast that it looks so harsh. And honestly, yes, it is a little bit harsh, but what's good about global is you put it on there, you can always dial it back and basically decrease it. Honestly, for this one, since it is so strong, I'll probably go 50% opacity. But you can see here like everywhere that is kind of supposed to have light on it is hitting, the darks are made darker, and there's just face added to the there's shape added to the face, sorry. And then so honestly the assist layer I go ahead and delete. The last thing here that I like to do is just wherever it's already kind of light, I like to add in a little bit more light, especially like on the hair here, like this. Let's see. All right, perfect. Probably around the stomach as well a little bit, and then right here, and then also where this light beam is kind of coming in from. And the goal here ultimately is to just add like a deeper level of contrast when you are adding in on the places that are already light and dark. As you can see, if I turn this on and off, just makes this places stand out a little bit more. Same with the darks here. I'll probably add the dark right on here like this, in here, kind of where there already is a good amount of shadow. I like this coat because it's kind of like I don't know, it makes for a cool vibe. I was glad that Miranda was wearing it. It was definitely too cold just to wear that, but we made it work. So here you go. So as you can see, let me go ahead and group these. So this is our skin right here. So as you can see, nothing crazy, really. Just basically the biggest difference is just the shaping, and just the contouring. And for this one, I mean, her hair was in her face, like it was purposeful, and basically, like, you're not going to be able to see it on this one as much as something else, how effective that is. But even with this, like, you can tell, like, it still adds like a deeper level to it. So the last thing here that I will do, let's see, we can, so the last thing here that I'll do is go ahead and add 2 additional curve layers. This group is going to be the eyes, and I'm going to go in with a brush at about 20% flow and literally just paint over these eyes right here, like so. And I guess the only thing here that you want to try and avoid is the center black there, like the pupil, just because obviously it's supposed to be black colored, and you can go in with a black, or like you can reverse your brush and just make sure you didn't put any black on there, so that's good. And then you can also paint with black around to try and make sure around it is good too. So that's the first curve. Then we're gonna go over here with the second brush. And again, a lot of this stuff is easy to overdo. It's honestly based on how you like it. I have started to really like the more natural looking stuff, so that's kind of like what I go for. Obviously, looking at this eye, even zoomed in, you can tell like this is not going to look right, and if I zoom out, you can completely know that. But here's this little secret here. If you zoom in here, your eye is painted, you grab this little grabber tool right here, you click that, you have this one point here, and then if you try and find the darkest pixel that you can find on the eye, and you drag down, that's going to help make a contrast to the brightness that you added. So you can see it's added. If we take this away, you can see what it did. So it brightened it, but only specifically to how that eye should look. And I will probably go ahead and tweak that a little bit here in the opacity in a second, and I'll show you guys what that looks like, but I'll leave that for now. And then same thing here, kind of like the darkest group of pixels, bring that down. You don't want it to be too far down because then it gets like this, but you want to try and stay over this line right here. Let me see. I'll try and move that up. And the other thing is, I like to almost try and match where this is with the second one, like height-wise. You might not get it because obviously this one had a lot more darks visible, but heightness-wise, they're not fully similar. And let me zoom out and show you guys what it should look like. So this one might need to be a little bit darker just because there's not tons of light shining through. So let's see what that looks like. So as you can see there, let me see. So it's still kind of bright. I'm actually going to mess with the opacity here and put it on like 70. Let's go 60. So as you can see, it's still making it brighter. It's making it pop more. It's making it more noticeable, but it's making it still look real. And let's try and put, actually let me mess with this first here. Then I'll put this one on 62 and we can see what that looks like. So this one, since it's a little bit more forward, a little bit more in the light, we could have it be a little bit brighter. And then looking at these eyes, they look very similar. What I was saying earlier is I like to have them even. I don't want necessarily one eye to be brighter than the other. That is just my preference. So let's look at what we started with. So we started with, so we ended with. Again, very subtle. Alright guys, so this photo saved. So the last step here that we're going to do is go over to background. Honestly, this is what I do. I don't know what other people do and what other people say, but I just flatten the image. That way it just saves quicker, and you can always go back. Make sure you save all your progress before you flatten the image. And then what you want to do, so what I will do is go over here and crop. So make sure you're cropping 4:5. That's the Instagram crop. The biggest crop that you can have on Instagram as opposed to 1:1. And basically what I like to do first is I like to expand the borders and then hit this content aware crop, and it's going to try and fill these borders with basically what Photoshop is thinking could fit there for the image to try and fill up that space. I don't know if it's going to look good. You can always tweak it. I just always do this first in case it does look good. That way you can put more of your actual frame in Instagram, and you'll see what that looks like in 1 second here. Alright, so the first thing I do is uncheck the content aware box. As you can see here, not necessarily good. I knew it was gonna do that because her arms are touching the border, and Photoshop just has a really hard time with that, but it tries to play off the information it has, so understandable. I almost like this little haze right here though that it's made, so I might go ahead and leave that because that looks like a prism or something, but this side definitely looks funky, so I'm just gonna go ahead and move that in here as much as I can with it still looking. So basically the goal is to leave as much room on the sides as possible, so that way the top is also long, the bottom's longer. But there's only so much you can do when, because you don't want it to look funky, obviously. Like, you don't want it to look like her arm is just not there. So again, a lot of this is like kind of play around as you go. As far as the shot, I'm thinking this is still, I want to have it come in a little bit, so let me actually, so what I'm gonna do here is merge this down so it's all one layer that we're dealing with. Then I'm going to move that in a little bit more. Move this over a tiny bit and then move that in a hair, and then move this down a little bit just like so. Come on, there we go. Okay, so we're good there, and final crop, and that looks good. It looks like this is just like a lens element, kind of just like that, and I'm okay with it, and we're good. So the last thing here is I'm gonna run my Instagram formatting action. As you see, it changes the channel to 8 bits and changes the image size. And the image size actually gets put into a width of 2160 pixels with all of these settings here. So that is that. So the last thing is just save this and you're good to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Truly appreciate it. If this video in any way helped you or gave you some value, or if you just liked it, go ahead, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and definitely if you have any questions, any comments as well, go ahead, leave them. I'm going to be looking over all that stuff. I want to in the future make videos that are going to be helpful to you guys, but also in a way that will actually answer the questions you guys have. So whatever questions, comments you have, make sure to leave those down below. I would greatly appreciate it. I greatly appreciate your time watching this video, especially for those of you that may not be interested in photography or editing. Thank you for sticking around and watching this and being here to support me, and hope to be able to give back to all of you guys, and thank you. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Peace.